Well, we'll come to Nigeria now, going to the financial institutions industry now. KPMG, a global network of professional firms providing audit, tax and advisory services, has released its 2021 scorecard on retail banks' digital channels. We have Boye Ademola. He's a partner and lead digital transformation at KPMG to tell us their findings on the financial institutions in Africa and, of course, special focus on Nigeria. Good morning, Boye. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning, Ine. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So tell us, why is this assessment important to start with?
Well, there's a big opportunity for retail banks to grow in Africa, particularly because we have a significant part of the population that is either underbanked or they are completely unbanked. And this is the same opportunity that is driving the growth of the fintechs in Africa. So our perspective is to serve this market. Banks will have to largely serve this segment of the market through their digital channels. And therefore, the channels really are the engagement mechanism for harnessing this opportunity. So the first point there really is around the growth opportunity. And very closely linked to that is this helps the banks from a competitive positioning perspective. It helps to see how they're doing in terms of their digital channels when they compare to other banks. We looked at 26 banks across Africa. And it also looks at their competitive positioning against the fintechs.
And so what are the findings, your major findings, especially as it had to do with Nigeria?
Well, the findings particularly show that banks continue to be quite strong on payments and transfers. We looked at 5 anchor journeys: digital onboarding, payments and transfers, digital lending, self-service, and customer care. And banks continue to be quite strong on payments and transfers. In Nigeria in particular, what we see two large groups of people. First, groups of banks. The first set of banks that we see are the banks we have categorized as leaders. And these are the banks that are showing strength in digital onboarding, particularly their ability to leverage technologies to onboard customers. Technologies like OCR, optical character recognition, technologies that help with document management, technologies that help with API so that they can offer products and services even to fintechs and with other FIs. The other thing that we've seen from the findings is that these banks are also quite strong from a lending perspective. They are beginning to lend by leveraging analytics. They're beginning to offer real-time credit scoring to customers. And they are quite responsive from a customer care perspective. Now, this is the first set of banks. We see a second category of banks that really are struggling, particularly in terms of their user journeys. They have convoluted processes. The journeys are not straightforward. They're not intuitive. And their channels infrastructure are not resilient. And again, this second set of banks are unable to onboard digitally. They are unable to respond, to customers in real time, as most of the digital natives will have you do. So really, we see two segments: banks that are really beginning to operate like fintechs. They are more agile. They are more nimble. And we're seeing a second set of banks that we've tagged as followers and late starters that really have to make significant improvements to be at par to seize this opportunity.
Maybe these are the groups of banks that the fintechs will overtake, because we know that the fintechs are giving the banks a strong competition this time around.
Yes, absolutely. So the second set of banks that I've spoken about, the followers and late starters, really have to rethink their approach. They need to be more intentional, because the fintechs really are looking at the opportunities that these same banks are playing in, and the fintechs are really looking to scale and to bring home those opportunities. So yes, you are spot on there.
All right, so we'll be watching this space to see how the competition goes between the banks using these digital channels and the fintechs trying to catch up with them. Thank you so much, Boya Demola, partner and lead digital transformation at KPMG. Thank you for sharing your findings with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So the relationship between Nigeria and Ghana seems to be like a bittersweet one. Neighbors, similar language, and sometimes stiff competition between both countries. And yet there are opportunities, comparative advantages between both countries. We'll talk about that relationship after this break. Do stay with us. This is Business Morning on Channels Television.